Hello and welcome back to another out-of-spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Today we are doing a full paint inspection on the Lucid Gravity, and I brought along my friend Eric from Drive Protected. He's actually down here this week. You're going to be full stealth PPFing this thing.
Yes.
Super excited. It's going to look incredible. Really, so stay tuned for that video, but wanted to get all of the inspection videos done before Eric starts wrapping this thing. Starting off with the paint. So Eric, one of the stories that I've told a little bit with Lucids, unfortunately, they've had little to no paint on them, especially very early airs, you know, taking paint readings on them in the 2 mil range, sometimes even in the like 1.9 mil of paint on there, and some really scary stuff, because at the point of you get a scratch in the car, something happens to it, you can't physically polish it. You're going to burn through the paint. You have very little to work with. So a lot of options we have talked about with early Lucids. In fact, I had one shipped out here from California. We were supposed to do a full correction coating all the stuff on it, and I took paint readings on it. I'm like, called the customer and said, hey, I do not feel comfortable even polishing on this thing. So my recommendation, if you're going to keep this car, you need to put film all over it and do that whole situation.
Add a nice layer of thickness to that paint.
Exactly, exactly. So this is your first time seeing a Gravity. This is their Abyss black paint. This is a non-metallic black paint, which means it's going to show everything. So we're going to walk through first couple of things. I'm going to segment this video out. What I want to look for first, I want to look for the kind of paint texture, overall orange peel. We'll kind of walk through and do that. We're going to look at coloration. So all of the plastic areas such as bumpers, mirror caps, door handles, how they match to the other black normal painted areas on the vehicle. We'll then go through and look for defects. So defects being sanding marks, dust nibs. You see this all the time in your shop with cars you work on. So it's nice to have a second set of eyes here. Yeah. And then lastly, we'll stick a paint meter on this thing to see if it's actually got some paint. So let's get into it. All right, Eric, this is going to be a super fun week. We have tons of content to film. What's your first impressions just initially looking at the Gravity?
So my initial impression looking at the Gravity is this is a very small vehicle.
Dude,
it's irrelevant
like a toy car next to you.
It's irrelevant to the actual topic of this video, but I got out of a Model Y, and I thought the Model Y was just as tall, if not maybe even taller.
Pretty crazy.
But as far as paint goes, first thing I noticed, like typical, there's a lot of orange peel on the paint. And I would say, from what I see in my shop, is like it's kind of right on par with Tesla. Like you can definitely see it like here in the top of this fender, just going back and forth with the light.
Yep. You can see, and certain areas are better. So that's what I want to walk through and do here. Like looking at the hood, honestly, I think this looks pretty decent. The camera is having a little hard time focusing on this. It kind of takes away some of the orange peel. You'll see in some of these areas here, you get a little bit more orange peel, but I would say in general, the hood looks pretty good. Now, on par with Tesla, you would say. So I've got my Model 3 sitting back there as well. We can kind of compare and contrast. This is a $140,000 car. So you're competing with Porsche level paint quality, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, some very high-end players. And that was one of my things when I was doing first inspections on Airs, that I was really, really concerned about the overall quality, the overall thickness of the paint. I was just very unimpressed with. So far, looking at this, I think they've done a better job. Just in general, I would say the texturation looks pretty good here. Definitely noticing in some of these kind of valleys, like you were pointing out, quite a bit of orange peel. But then you come down here, I can actually see, Eric, this has been sanded right here. So you can see it in the light, how clear that is. And then as you get back up here, a lot more orange peel.
Yeah.
Pretty typical though, because cars, even though they're mass produced, they're painted by robots, you still get little specks of dust in them. I have notoriously said, or famously said, or some people hate me for saying it, that a lot of Tesla vehicles from Fremont literally look like they've been painted outside because of the amount of contamination. We'll be going through that later on in the video.
Absolutely.
Looking at the mirror here, honestly looks
really good. It looks fairly clear.
I agree.
There's like you can see some ripples down over here.
Yeah.
But that's really minimal.
It's really not too bad. Even this A-pillar up here, this was an area that was really weird on the Airs. For whatever reason, this area had little to no paint on it. We'll check this out. But looking at the texture here, it looks nice and glossy, does have orange peel. And there's actually a reason OEMs put orange peel in vehicles. It's to kind of help with some of the scratches. If you have a perfectly smooth finish, you get a scratch in it, it scratches a little bit deeper.
It's deeper, yeah, it makes sense.
So there's a few reasons for it, but you start looking down the doors here, and yeah, I would say in general, it looks good. I think you see it a lot more on the non-metallic black though, especially with this lighting setup. It's really...
And I noticed that like the flat parts are a lot better than the very top.
Yes.
The top, there seems to be a whole lot more orange peel up here as opposed to down there.
Dude, look at how bad the door handle is.
Yeah, there you go.
That looks like it's literally rattle canned. You can see a huge difference in the clarity. Like
plastic too, so I mean, they will be different texture.
So speaking of that, one thing I always talk about, Eric, is the coloration between bumpers. Notoriously, these cars back here have always had some serious amount of issues with Tesla actually paint matching the bumpers to the hood, fenders, things like that. My car's pretty decent, but dude,
looks really good.
Quicksilver cars are like
well, we got
horrendous.
Quicksilver Model Y outside. We could go have a look.
I know we do. We definitely do. So moving on here, I would say kind of same things going on. Let's check out this door handle. This one's actually a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not perfectly even, but you know, this is not a Koenigsegg. If you guys don't know about Koenigsegg, Swedish hypercar manufacturer, they actually put so much paint on the cars that they have room at the factory. I mean, you're spending millions of dollars, like $4 or $5, $6 million cars.
3 years to get your car.
They go through wet sand the entire cars before the customers take delivery. Like that's totally different level of experience, but they have zero orange peel in them. So for mass produced cars, just looking at this, I really don't think it's bad. What's interesting here, Eric, is you look at areas like this here, tons of orange peel. Then you come over to this, which I think is plastic back here, and that looks a heck of a lot smoother. Also see a little color difference, but I actually think this is from polishing haze. Look how bad the polishing haze is on there.
They compounded it, but never finish polished it.
So that's a little hard for me to distinctly say that that's a totally different color. Sorry to flash you with the scan grip there. Just because it's so dull, it's so hazy. But honestly, I think it looks pretty decent. Even up here on kind of the spoiler area, this A, B, C, D, E, F, G pillar up here looks pretty darn good. One thing I did notice though, the top of the spoiler does not look great.
Hazy. It looks orange peely, and then it looks hazy.
Yeah, it really does. The camera's even having a very hard time focusing on it because it's glossy back. When I actually go into 1X, you can see it actually looks pretty clear. In person, it really, really does not. Sorry, we'll try and focus that.
It looks like a rattle can job.
I totally agree with you. Totally. Back here, anything you really notice?
I've noticed some stuff in the paint back here. Like there's almost like a point right there. But when you run your finger over it, like you can't feel it.
So you were wondering if there was a little paint drip there. I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. What I think this actually is, I don't know if you can kind of see this warping, as you can see like the Porsche and the reflection there, how it's kind of bubbly. This seems like that's a plastic piece, Eric, and what's happening there is they've got a bunch of little clips inside of there that are kind of pulling and pushing on it.
And they plastic weld those clips in there, so that's probably what that is, just the heat from the welding.
It looks way worse outside. I'll overlay the clip of what it looked like outside, but I mean, I can see it with the naked eye here very easily. It looks like some little dents and ripples throughout there. Really not consistent, but yeah, it's just one of those things with plastic versus metal. Did we look back here on the rear hatch? We can actually open this up and get a little bit. How's this looking here? Honestly, pretty decent. I do want to also point this out. You notice this immediately. The spacing here on the G,
almost a fingernail
versus
width.
there. Yeah, completely different throughout there. So I didn't note that in my build quality review, but something you noticed, so maybe I should have you start doing them. This looks pretty darn good back here though, dude.
Yeah, it does.
I believe this is all metal. We'll stick a paint meter on this when we get to that point in the video, but I think looks pretty darn nice. Down this side, you've already noticed this one's got a little unfortunate dent. We think my customer, he sent me a video, and I was worried because this came on a transport truck. This car's actually from the East Coast. I was worried they dented it, you know, moving and doing that type of stuff. The original video he sent me of this car had that dent in it after he road tripped it from the Northeast down to the Southeast. So not really sure where that happened. I actually think this was from a charging cable is kind of what we decided. Smacked against the side of the car, put a little dent in it.
Port's right there.
Yep, for sure. So noticing back here, Eric, quite a bit of orange peel. This looks yeah, really
That's
not that
really
great.
bad there.
That's a really bad spot. And
Much better further on in the panel, but
I
really
agree.
bad right there.
What's weird too is on the other side, this particular area actually looked decent-ish. I don't know, just some minor inconsistencies overall so far what I'm seeing. How about the door handles? Wow, that looks extremely dull. I mean, the reflection of your face to what it looks like there is just really
bad.
dull. How about the doors down here? It's a little harder to see on this side. I'd say it looks probably okay. Door handles here.
Orange peel seems to be consistent from the other side.
I agree.
A little bit worse up top.
I agree. So I think we can probably say in general, the orange peel doesn't look incredible. I'd say it's kind of in line with industry standard. I just had a new Mercedes EQS in here this weekend. Completely horrible orange peel. Had a ton of paint on it though, like 10, 11 mils of paint, which I was
crazy.
like, okay, that's a lot. Typical in the automotive industry is between like 4 to 6 in general. So overall, dude, I would actually say this looks decent. I wouldn't say it's better than Porsche. I would say it's better than Tesla for sure. I would say there's certain areas that are, yeah, a little bit worse than Tesla, but overall in general, I kind of feel like it's slightly better. So the other couple of things we've talked about, coloration. This one's a little bit tricky, and I think this actually matches pretty good. So looking at here, bumper defender. These are scan grip lights, by the way. That is bang on. Absolutely perfect there.
They did a good job with that.
That's something I have praised Porsche for years on. The new Macan came out. We've had 2 of them on this channel, did paint quality reviews, build quality reviews. Both of them, the front bumper is completely different color. Like metallic's different. I don't understand why it's so complicated. And everybody tells me this it always cracks me up. They're like, well, it's plastic versus metal. You have to use a different primer on there.
Or my favorite, they get painted in different parts of the factory.
They do. They absolutely do. But what I don't understand, it's a color code. You have, you know, how much white, how much black and reds and all of that stuff that goes into a formulation. How does it actually change that?
I don't know. Maybe there's more or less base coat or primer that's got to go on the panels.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then some OEMs absolutely nail it.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. And like even my Model 3 back here, the front bumper matches really well. The rear bumper is pretty off.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it's very inconsistent. So coloration on this I would say is pretty good. I would kind of put it above average from what I see on most cars. So that's a big thumbs up from me and pretty impressed with that. So Eric, I think the next thing here, I'm gonna set the camera down. You and I are gonna quickly walk around the vehicle, put tape on every single imperfection we can find. I will definitely tell you, this car has been polished a lot.
Yep.
We saw that already on the back end. I've already seen some spots on the side there that have been sanded, some dust nibs in there.
Dust nib on the fender there.
Exactly. So we'll point all those out to you, give you an overall evaluation to other cars we see in the industry, and kind of see how the Lucid's stacking up here. Eric, so we spent, I don't know, 10 minutes walking around here looking for imperfections. So all of the pieces of tape on here are areas that I mark off. Now I have done this on pretty much every single OEM's vehicle that I do these paint inspections on. This one, just first off, gotta say, pretty impressed with in terms of contamination in the paint. I mean, very, very little dust nibs. We probably have, I don't know, 4 or 5 small dust nibs that we found.
Yeah, it's not much.
So you work on Teslas genuinely almost every single day. You work on, you know, a lot of trucks in general. How would you compare the Lucid in terms of contamination defects in the paint?
Honestly, really good. I see a lot more contamination in Teslas and like GM, for example, their paint is not that great.
Totally agree.
I feel like they also paint in parking lots, but this was really good.
I agree. Yeah, I'm really impressed. And of course, these are made out in Arizona. If I remember right, the airs didn't have a ton of contamination. It was just like the overall orange peel and the thinness. So I'm so glad to see here that, you know, very little contamination. I don't think I've seen a single car come through the shop that has not had contamination. Cars, you know, even Toyotas, Lexus, Fords, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Porsches, they all have a few little dust nibs. It's very hard to do this at mass scale and not get it bad. I think Tesla is by far one of the worst just in terms of contamination. So you have to give props to Lucid here. So let's walk around here, show a few points. Now, this is one of the initial ones we noted. So what I want you guys to look at here, man, this camera is having a really hard time focus, but lots of orange peel up here. Then you can see this area. And importantly, You can't even darn see this thing, Eric.
I know.
What the heck? It is.
Our eyes are almost defective. It's right there.
Yeah, you can see right there at the tip of Eric's finger, the camera still can't even focus, right there underneath that little sunball was a little piece of dust that they sanded out. So I'm glad to see that they're doing that. They polished that out perfectly. They did not do the same thing on a couple other areas though, which is kind of funny. I also want to bring you here, I hope you guys can see this. The camera is just really struggling. You can see those little dust nibs. It literally can't even focus.
Barely.
Right there, right there, and right there. 3 small dust nibs. Just wanted to point that out. Actually just saw another one right here and a little fisheye right there. You can,
Oh yeah, look at that.
You can see that. So honestly though, from what I've seen on this, really not bad. These are a lot more visible to the naked eye than on camera. On camera is like having an impossible job, even sort of focusing
And the
on
lights
this.
amplify it too.
Lights are amplified, but you really see it, especially, I know a lot of people hate these hex lights. Actually for this, they're perfect because you get a wide distribution of lighting to be able to see all those little dust nibs. Like, you know, I'm standing a couple feet away. I can see a very tiny one there, very tiny one there. So really good for that. Couple other points. This dude.
This piece has been sanded. It's insane.
That looks like they drug it across the floor. Yeah. And yeah, holy freaking scratches, even over here. That's one thing I should point out also. Lucid plastics, I think, are one of the worst in the automotive industry. The Lucid Air, that like rear tail light bar it had on it, almost impossible to polish out. And I have a very, very high level of skill polishing out vehicles. Like this, I wouldn't even think twice about. This would be super easy to polish out, not be a problem. Some of their plastics though, dude, are like so soft, unbelievably soft. So let's continue moving on here. This was one of the areas over here, Eric, that we found nice big sanding mark. I do not understand how OEMs sand that type of stuff and just don't polish it out.
Yeah. Like, why do you leave that? Especially on black.
Rivian notoriously, I think, has been one of the worst when they first started. I would just see, they were literally polka dots all over the car, like 20, 30 of them, and you could see them completely naked. I would have customers, you know, they would go pick up their car and they're like, I have these like dull spots all over my car. What the hell is this? And it's sanding marks. So they sanded that particular area right there, did not even sort of polish it out properly because there's no polishing marks. So they just kind of sanded it, went over it a little bit. Now, importantly, I want to notice here, Eric, lots of DA haze all over the paint.
Yeah.
Somebody has gone to town polishing this. I don't know if it's at the factory. I don't know if it's at the dealership. Whoever did it shouldn't be doing it because this is amateur hour level.
Yeah, and they should have finished it up with a finish polish.
And
or they probably used a heavy cut compound.
Yes.
Just to do it once. Okay, good enough.
Yep. To be fair, I can tell you this paint is soft as butter. Like,
it is
super soft.
Like we scratched it just touching it.
So like we were doing, you know, stuff like this, especially on the back, doing that, and that'll leave scratches in it. You can see the fingerprint there.
Yeah.
On the back, it was really bad. Looking down the doors though, we saw no sort of contamination in any of it. But again, just want to point this out. So all of that DA haze there, let me even shut this light off so you guys can see it a little bit better. Look how dull and hazy that paint looks.
Horrible.
Oh, and then you come back
here. Do the very top here as well too, now that the light's been off.
Oh, that's had some love to it. I mean, just scratches in general. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That is like heavy aggressive compound and didn't even try to finish that out. What you guys should be able to see here is right around that little light source should be absolutely nothing if you properly polish paint out. This thing is freaking brutal, dude.
Yeah.
So like this is one of those fingerprint marks that you literally...
Watch this.
Yeah, just scratch the heck out of it. That is insane. So super soft paint. That's why we're doing PPF on this thing.
Yep.
I also want to show this. This is pretty funny down here. So of course, this is where your license plate goes. Nice sanding mark.
Big one here too.
Huge sanding mark.
Yeah.
Like not even sort of finished out. That looks like a pretty aggressive cut, and I can tell they have not polished anywhere around this. But in general, yeah, dude, if you're getting this paint, please put PPF on this because it's going to look terrible within 3 seconds. So coming back over here again, just a absurd amount of DA haze, just improper polishing all day long. You can see down here how much clearer this looks.
Yeah.
There's a nice big little scratch there. Again, this thing needs some love, but man, just in general, whoever polished this really, really bad. And the cool thing is, even my customer who took delivery of this, when he actually road tripped it down, they went through, fully washed the car. He had a mobile guy come out and do it. And he was sending me videos in the sun like, dude, the paint looks terrible. It's super dull. It's super hazy.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I like to see, because this customer...
Their level of expectation is here.
Yeah. And
everybody else is like here.
Yeah. And mine is way up there.
Yeah.
Like, I want paint perfect. And the cool thing is, with these videos, this is why I love making these videos, is because that customer watches stuff like this and now he knows what to look for. And once you kind of see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing with this stuff.
That's the thing as a PPF installer as well too, is I know when there's an imperfection in the paint or the film. Drives me nuts.
Oh, for sure. And then up here, wanted to point this out as well, Eric. Lots of rotary trails in here, so just lots of polishing and like total amateur hour on polishing this.
I feel like with black, these dealerships or the manufacturer, it should be common knowledge to just put extra time into it.
Or don't do it.
Or don't do it.
Just
there you go.
Leave it for the pros, because
because they'll make it worse.
Well, here's my issue with it. So, you know, you go in there, you start, you know, taking a heavy compound to it, you're removing paint. Paint, especially with Lucids and not having a lot of paint on them, you don't want to then go back and have to do a heavier cut to remove all of that crap that they put in there. And as you can see on most of this, because of how quickly it scratches, if you polish this thing constantly, you're going to be out of paint eventually. So I would personally rather have manufacturers just leave stuff, don't polish it if you don't have the time to do it right. Now, if there are some egregious, you know, dust nibs, I think it's acceptable to go in there and sand it. The thing that kind of drives me nuts though is areas like this where you have orange peel around there and then just a perfect area. Again, I really wish I could show you guys this. The camera is just not even sort of focusing here. It is just, yeah. It's like glass on this paint. So overall, I got to say, decently impressed, but a couple of the sanding marks need to get polished out, but then again, like, polish it out properly. I don't know. So I'm a little conflicted there. Any other thoughts on there?
No, I'd say it's not quite what I would expect for the price that the vehicle is, but it is definitely a lot better than a lot of other vehicles out there.
Here's the hilarious thing. I have this theory, the more money you spend on a car, the worse they are, because that's what I see here in the shop. I've worked on Ferraris, Lamborghinis. They are 100 times worse than this.
Really?
Rotary trails everywhere, sanding marks everywhere. You get into like a normal color on, let's say, a 911 GT3 RS.
Yep.
You get a paint to sample color. The entire car has been, you know, sanded, dust nib removed, rotary trails everywhere. I've spent hours upon hours removing stuff from, you know, a $16,000, $20,000 paint job from Porsche. And, you know, Lamborghini, Ferrari being one of the worst I've worked on. McLarens I've seen have been really, really bad. So it's this kind of funny thing, because normally you can go walk into Toyota, they'll have maybe one or two dust nibs, have decent orange peel, but not a ton of sanding marks and stuff like this. So kind of this funny back and forth, but always love to show this.
Yeah.
Lastly, Eric, this is the most important part of the video for myself. We're going to get out the paint meter and see if this thing has some paint.
Let's go.
So I think you know exactly what this tool does. Viewers will know what this does. So essentially, when you stick this on the paint, it is sending a signal down to the metal, back up to the actual metal tip sensor on here. What that's doing is measuring the distance in between there. Now this is an Amazon paint meter on here, but we have calibration strips, so I want to show you guys what this looks like. So in general, typically what we see in the automotive world, 4 to 6 mils of paint. You can also do this in microns. And again, I want to make sure a lot of people understand this. This is not millimeters. You are not having 4 millimeters worth of paint on your car.
Because that's like that.
Exactly. So very different. So this, dude, is the thickness of your clear coat, your base coat, your color coat.
It's not much.
Your primer. And that's what I get into with these things. You get scratches. Understand that when you get a scratch, it's essentially if you have your top layer like this and a scratch goes down like that, and let's say it's, you know, 2 mils deep, you got to grind that paint down to get that fully out.
And if you've only got 4 mils of paint,
you're grinding
you've
through.
gone half your paint.
Exactly. So that's why these things are cool. This is on the thicker side. I know it doesn't look that thick, but these things, you can feel a huge difference. This is kind of like cardstock. So this is 9.84 mils and this is 1.97. So this is what I was seeing on Lucid Airs.
This is what we don't want to see today.
This is what we don't want to see. So I just quickly want to show you guys this little calibration on here. 1.94. So this is 1.97 plus or minus 1%, should be right around that region. 3.96, perfect in there. And then lastly on here. Now again, you do not need a super expensive gauge to do this. This is not going to get us 100% perfect, but the way I like to think about this is tape measures are tape measures. It's not going to be like we have a foot versus 2 feet versus of difference if you buy a $100 one or a $2 one.
Yep.
This is not the most extremely accurate gauge, gives us a good round idea. So before we do this, you set off camera, let's make some guesses. So we're gonna do what the lowest point is, what we find on here you think, the highest and the average kind of between the panels. What do you think first off?
So based on everything you told me about your previous Lucid Air experience, the one from California, and I've never done anything with one, I have a feeling they haven't fixed everything, and I have a feeling we might see like 2 at the lowest.
Okay, so you think we're going to be in the 2 mil range
I think
at the lowest end?
I think on some panels we might see 2.
Okay.
I think on the high side we might see 6.
Okay. And so in the middle, around 4 mils, kind of average between. So what I like to look for here is not only paint thickness, but paint consistency. For example, I don't want to see 12 mils in the center of the hood and then everything else is 4 or 6.
Yep.
This is actually a perfect way if you guys are purchasing used cars to see if cars have been repainted. This is the truth meter, because if you walk around the whole car, it has 4 mils, you come to a front right fender here and it's got 12, 14, 15, you got Bondo there and the car's probably been hit and repainted. 534. That's a good start.
Yep.
Let's come on over here. 547. 447. So interesting, already a little bit of variance between there. Kind of makes sense what we were seeing with some of the, the texturation here on the center of the hood looks pretty good. And in these kind of valleys, if you will, get a little bit worse. So I just want to do a few throughout the entire panel. 445 there. 83. So you can see, Eric, big difference, like over 1 mil of paint difference,
between just a foot.
In about the same same general area on the car of the front clip here. That's pretty crazy. 522 up here, 586 here,
563.
Okay, first off, gotta say, looking way better than the Airs.
Oh yeah, much better.
Way better. So we have paint, at least on the hood. Now I'm curious to see, once we get down the car, are we gonna see some other areas that are not as good? Let's come down here.
564.
Really spot on there. 443. Again, big variance there.
That's a big variance in such a small gap.
It's pretty wild, dude. It's really fascinating. That's why I love doing these videos. Let's come up here in this little region. 605. Wow. So that's the highest we've seen. You said we were going to be 7s?
I think 6.
I forget now. 6s.
Yeah. 557.
Let's come way down here.
506.
And then let's go to this panel. 486. So that's pretty close.
Yeah.
I would say like that's within kind of the variance of the tool there, that it's pretty on there. So 532. So these are going to be plastic, of course. So you're going to see, not going to get a reading. Now the important one up here, I want to check this out.
Wow, 7.56.
It's a lot of paint.
That is.
Let's see how it does down here. 4.
Okay, you got a 3 mil difference there.
Huge difference there. Which, okay, what I'm probably going to end up saying with this, I'm okay with a bigger variance as long as the thing has frickin' paint on it, because this is at the point where you can actually scratch it, you can correct it, you can polish it, you can live your life and have paint on the rest of your vehicle for many other days. 581 down here. Let's go kind of center of the door.
498.
Nice. How about way down here?
561. 581. 515.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Pretty decently consistent in certain areas. It's a 472.
Yep. Here we go. 539. 604.
Let's come back over here now.
59.
I'm curious about this area.
559.
Not bad. Really not bad.
574.
All right, this I think is plastic. I could be totally wrong though. Yep, plastic.
517.
Here's something interesting also on the Airs. This is all plastic back here. The entire rear trunk hatch back there.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
they've done something totally different here on the Gravity. Yep, plastic up here, kind of as I suspected. Let's come down here, check this out. 552.
510. 477. 501. 515.
Nice, that's actually
not
pretty
bad.
good there on the rear gate. Let's check this out over here.
628. Nice and 694.
Almost 7.
576.
It's just so funny to watch it bounce. All right, here's another true test. Nice. Nice.
618.
568.
498.
Wow, dude.
I gotta say I'm impressed. We've pretty much gone around the whole vehicle and it's pretty consistent. That 4 to 6 range.
I totally would agree. 602. Let's see what this is.
19.
Yeah, because it's anodized, I would assume there, because that's probably aluminum with
Yeah.
anodized on there. Wow, dude. Okay, so I've got a lot of thoughts, and I got to conclusively say they have done a better job. So that, to me, huge thumbs up, Lucid. They argued back and forth with me that their Airs had enough paint, and the more cars I saw in here, I was like, I'm still getting the same readings, and I'm, calibrating all the strips and everything. It's showing what it's showing.
Yep.
This is, like I said, this is not something that's going to show you measurement-wise that you have only a foot when it's actually 2 feet. Yes, there is some variance there, but I'm really impressed with this so far for, brand new vehicle, brand new production line. Have to totally recalibrate everything to do a much bigger vehicle from the Air like this. So I'm impressed. So overall, just going back through it, texturation looks, I would say, pretty average, pretty industry standard. Very impressed with how little contamination this car has in it.
Yeah, I was impressed by that too.
Very impressed also with how well the bumpers match. And in general, we've got enough paint. There's a little variance, but it's not out of this question of pretty much every other car that I see on the market, from Cadillacs to Kias to Audis to, heck, even Porsches. Porsches are a little bit more consistent and in general much more paint, but this has a good amount of paint on it. We didn't see anything that was super low. So kind of my level of low where I start to get a little nervous is around that 3.5 range. I don't think we even got sort of close to that.
I don't think we did.
We were everything above 4s.
Yeah, I don't recall ever seeing anything under 4.
That's big thumbs up for me. Any other final thoughts here, Eric? You've been around a lot of cars in your PPF career and just car guy in general.
I think it's better than the average car for sure. Definitely with what I've seen, especially like the contamination in the paint. Like,
it's impressive.
I'm sure if I sat in front of every panel and I scanned every square inch, we'd probably find a bit more. But like, most of that stuff sticks out pretty quickly to you and I.
Yeah, it's very small what's on here. And we're not having huge chunks of dust.
I mean, we're programmed to look for the negatives in the paint.
Exactly. And it's really hard, genuinely, just looking throughout this car to see things. Our eyes are just like you said, exactly. They're tuned to just quickly look at something and go, oh, sanding mark, oh, imperfection, oh, dust nib. That's just how we're programmed, and it drives me nuts. But that's part of being a detailer and in this kind of industry. So overall, dude, I'm impressed. I'm very happy to say that Lucid, I feel like, finally has their paint booth dialed into industry standard. I don't think it's anything above that. It's not anything below that. It's pretty average.
On par.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and that's good to know. Good to know that they've definitely put work and time and effort into getting a better quality paint job for their customers, because these ain't cheap.
No, it's a $140,000 car sitting right here. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for Eric for coming on the channel, giving me a second set of eyes on here. Always fun to go back and forth with somebody who knows what they're doing in the industry of detailing in cars. And yeah, can't wait to show you guys the full series of Eric doing his mastercraft, fully stealth PPFing this thing. This thing's gonna look incredible. But now, Eric, it's time to get to work, buddy.
Yep, definitely.
We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.